So I made my own video talking about untreated narcissists, so if you want to check that out, go check that out. But since I am an actually diagnosed narcissist, I'm going to talk about my own experiences prior to my diagnosis of NPD. So, like a lot of mentally ill people perhaps, I always suspected that something was wrong with me mentally, not gonna lie. And I wondered if it was depression. I do have major depressive disorder, but something about just depression didn't exactly feel right either. I never would have suspected myself to be a narcissist because NPD obviously has a lot of pop psychology riddled around it. What didn't make sense to me about depression alone is that despite feeling this prolonging numbness that's accompanied with depression, I would still have moments where I felt like I was all that. And I guess at the time I didn't really know that I was compensating, so it didn't really make sense to me to think that, oh, I'm just depressed, even though I am depressed. So because of said pop psychology surrounding NPD, I never would have thought that I was a narcissist because despite people treating me like one, it just didn't make sense because I still felt insecure within myself. Like, oh, there's no way a narcissist would question that there's something wrong with them, right? So getting my diagnosis and actually trying to understand it properly, it did help me make sense of why my self-esteem was so fractured all the time, because I would have instances where I felt terrible, self-deprecating, insecure, and the worst person on earth, but then other moments where I thought I was the best, I'm all that, the world would be better if everybody just listened to me. So whenever I would receive positive feedback from people, I would cling on to it as if it were gospel, but also not really believe it. But also when people would say insults at me or, verbally abuse me, I would also cling on to that like gospel, but I also really wouldn't believe it either. So it was confusing as fuck. It's still confusing as fuck now. So another thing that admittedly might be a bit cliche is that I would always look at myself in the mirror, but not necessarily to like glaze up my looks and, compliment myself or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, that's also happened a lot. But at the same time, it was more like I was looking at a puzzle. Like it was a clear sign that I had identity issues, all along, till then, up until now, because I would see myself and basically I would just ask like, who am I? Like, what am I exactly? And I would never get like a clear answer, obviously, because of said identity issues. So I would just be obsessed about it. I would just be obsessed about my self-image, and not necessarily, again, because of like glazing myself or even like self-deprecation. Like, it was like I was staring at my own emptiness all the time, trying to project maybe, or just trying to, figure something out. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but like just the idea that I'm a person, like it was so like fixated to me because something didn't feel right, or maybe I was being dramatic, or I don't know, but I just kept doing that. I just kept doing that repeatedly.